You might want to start again because I think you started before I hit record.
So, what's everybody drinking tonight?
I am still not drinking as I had another wedding suit fitting today, and my pants or trousers, as we would say in the UK, are increasingly tight.
I have a bottle of Malbec, which is called Pierre something. It's like handwritten, so can't quite see what the surname is. I think it's Laurent, but anyway, it's Malbec. It's £5 and it's from Aldi.
£5? You're pushing the boat out tonight.
Well, it's a little bit more expensive than a normal £4.50 bottle.
I know. You had some mighty fine meat to have with it though tonight.
I did. It's very tasty.
Yeah, I've got tea again. It's actually nighttime tea now, and it's making me super sleepy. So I'm not sure how much of it.
Please, can you define nighttime tea, Becca?
Is it bedtime brew?
I don't know. It just says Pucker nighttime tea on the box. It's really
All right. Is it like caffeine free or something?
Yeah, there's no caffeine in it.
Right.
It's gonna make
welcome to a very sleepy. I've had a very long day and I'm incredibly tired. Becca is incredibly tired. Craig is high on diazepam.
Although I am drinking Alpine, which is
nice.
a very niche beer from the very eastern corner of Canada.
Excellent. And you're high on diazepam, which is so. How has Kerry rated your week? Alpine, sky high, mountainous. Trying to think what this says about your week, Craig, as we know that this is how it is judged.
So Kerry did not buy me beer this week. I picked this up myself.
Oh wow, it's been a bad week.
Yes.
So welcome to Very Tired Brits. One person who's had a lot of meat and a high Canadian. Meat Man, that's what I should now call you. Tell us about Herd Summer Racing League this week.
So this weekend on Herd Summer Racing League, our races will take on a single lap of out and back again in Watopia, totaling 42.3 kilometres with an elevation gain of 333 metres. Our racers will score points for the fastest segments in their category on the Fuego Flats Sprint during the lead-in, the Watopia Sprint Forwards, Volcano Com and Hillycom Reverse. There are also points on offer for finishing positions in each category. Expect Steve to moan about Hilly Reverse again.
I mean, yeah, we'll get to that, and we'll also get to could be a course where genuinely you could do a bike change. And can you see my excited face as I mentioned that? I can see Craig's disgusted face.
At what point are you going to do a bike change?
Clearly, at Volcano Com.
Which averages at 4.5%. So you're going to change to a climbing bike.
No, I'll change
for
to
a climb.
Obviously,
from what?
From my fastest flat bike, just
So
for the sprint.
So
Venge and disco wheels to a Tron.
I don't have the Venge and disco wheels, so my fastest flat bike is the Tron. So I will be changing from the Tron. Maybe change colour. I don't know.
So I'm still trying to see now. I appreciate that there may not be a massive amount of logic involved in this, but you're talking about changing from a bike that might save you 2 whole seconds on a flat course to one that will maybe save you 2 seconds on a moderate, if that, hill, and the bike change is probably going to take you 20 seconds.
But as we know, the key tactic is to hammer the primes. So 2 seconds on a prime is probably worth 4 seconds on 2 primes, or 3 primes as it is probably worth a bike change. But let's not spoil the which bike we're going to ride. The answer is Pink Tron. I'm not going to change bike. That's a ridiculous idea. So out and back again. It's really flat. And then you hit the volcano. Oh, sorry, the Watopia Sprint. So yeah, it's just flat.
And the desert sprint.
Oh, is the desert sprint in this?
It is.
It is.
You said this 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, sorry, I don't listen to James. I just look at the profile on Zwift Insider as we established a few weeks ago, Becca. So we hit the desert sprint, which will be that'll be just after the start pens then.
Yeah, I think it's 1.8 kilometers.
Oh, that's never fun. So fast start on Zwift and then into the stupidly long desert sprint that will take about 4 years. Is my experience of it. 50 second sprint realistically. All right,
30.
I'm nearly an A. So for us nearly C's, it's going to take 45 to 50 seconds. For you elite athletes in the A's, closer to 30, but it's a longer sprint. And it is hard because it is after the fast start on Zwift, isn't it? So tough start, and quite often a place where breaks can occur in the pack as well, isn't it? As people get a bit cooked. Some people banner attack here. You're expecting a banner attack tomorrow, Becca? Are you going to banner attack?
No, not at all. I want the draft all the way around. So like the volcano is so shallow, you need the draft if you want a good time.
So yeah, we go out the desert. We do the little climb out of the desert, but then turn left, avoiding Titans, and back through to Wartopia, or back through to the marina to the Wartopia sprint. Straightforward sprint, that one, nice and easy. Out on some nice flat bits again, and then we hit the volcano. Let's talk about the volcano.
On the sprint, it's just worth noting it's another long one. I think 340 meters. So we've got the 500 meter Fuego Flats, followed by 340 odd meters on the Utopia sprint. So another long one.
So you've picked all of the worst sprints and one of the worst climbs. Excellent.
Yeah.
Which is one of the worst climbs. These are the two best climbs.
And hilly reverse is just boring.
We'll get to hilly reverse, and we know that I have views on this. So two long sprints. Let's just sort of genuinely let's talk long sprint tactics. So yes, 25 to 30 seconds of sprinting on the Wartopia sprint, or a bit quicker if you're quicker. Around 46 seconds of sprinting. It's quite you're not holding your peak 15-second power. Kind of what tactics are you doing? How are you using your power ups, folks?
So I always try to hit top speed before the start of the sprint segment, especially on the long ones. Well, actually, especially on the short ones, but even on the long ones, it's be going fast and then continue going fast and then worry about surviving after the finish line.
Yeah, I've never cracked this one. So I've tried the going fast before the sprint and then trying to go fast as long as I can. And then I just die 10 seconds from the end of where the sprint is, and lots of people go past me. And then I've tried starting slow and ramping up, and lots of people go past me, and I never catch them up again. So I just need to get better at sprinting for longer. Would probably be one answer. In terms of power ups, as ever, I think it's best to try and use the power up when you're deploying most of your power. So if you're one of those people that just hits the power up and then hammers it and then slowly goes slower, that's the best time. If you're one of those people who can hold a power and then accelerate, maybe tries to draft and then sprint at the end, use your power up when you're going fastest. I think that's the clue. But most of us don't have the ability to be sprinting hard and then mash keys, unlike Becca, who seems to be able to do amazing efforts while like tapping messages onto the platform, things like that.
I can do tempo and threshold while texting. I can't sprint and text at the same time. That is even beyond my capabilities.
So I will say, Steve, the bit you suggested before about starting the sprint and then hitting the arrow helmet, this is maybe one of the only spots where that actually makes sense, where you go fast, you kind of catch up to the front of the group and draft, and then kind of halfway through the sprint hit the arrow. And then you turn it into kind of two sprints with a second or two rest in between. But that's still really hard.
Yeah. I think the key, my key advice would be you want to be the last person to use your power up. If somebody in front of you uses their power up and you can hold on to them and draft them and then use yours, there is an advantage. But you want your power up to finish just as you cross the line. You don't want to be using it over the line, do you? Because that's a waste of a power up. Anyway, that's enough about sprinting. We all know sprinting is rubbish and we hate it because I'm equally bad at climbing now. So we hit the volcano com. James, you're now awesome at the volcano com. Talk us through how you do it.
I just try and hold a number, with the exception of the bit about halfway round where you go straight through the volcano and it's flat. I will just try and hold a number I think I can hold for 7.5 minutes. And it hurts. Especially that bit at the end.
Yeah, the bit at the end is steep. And we'll hear from Nate Holme, who is probably about to start riding now later on. So Nate Holme from the Herd, we had a quick chat with him. We'll hear from him about his views on the volcano, and he does not like the bit at the end either, but more from Nate later. Becca, how are you doing, volcano? You're awesome at climbing.
I'm going to sit in the back and attack for the last sort of 500 meters, and hopefully with a feather, but if not, with a probably fairly decent sprint, hopefully. The bit at the end is awesome if you're lightweight.
Is this one, Craig, I'm going to ask you this question. Is this one for the classic, what we should call the Martin maneuver, which is to drop the pack, as in drop off the back of the pack at the beginning of the... I can't talk, I'm so tired. Drop the pack at the beginning of the prime, and then catch the pack up, know that you can draft the pack, and then attack at the end of the prime, thus gaining time at both ends. So drop a couple of seconds back, work hard to get back into the bunch, and then attack the bunch at the end, gaining a few seconds on the prime compared to those people in the bunch. Martin maneuver, yes or no?
I would say absolutely yes. So where this is a very draftable climb. Now, I mean, you have to be careful in that you can't drop back further than you can catch up. But absolutely, it's a... this is one where you can put that little effort in at the start and then sit in the group, and then I'm going to get dropped by a second or two at the top. So if I have gained that second or two at the bottom, then the times kind of even out.
It is I've struggled with the top of the volcano recently, that if I get dropped, I am not heavy. Like, the descent of the volcano is not heavy to super tuck. I'm not heavy enough to super tuck. I am not heavy enough to super tuck all the way down the volcano, unlike Nate Holme, who spoke to earlier, who probably can, and some of the heavier riders. So I've found recently, if I'm not in a bunch, I have to be really cautious at the top of the volcano when you get there. If I'm not in a bunch, it is easy to get dropped off a group because they can all super tuck. They get the group dynamics. You can get dropped there. So it is one to be cautious of at the top. But before that, I think the flat bit is really important to talk about as well. Is there any value in considering this almost like two climbs? So work hard to the flat bit. You're probably going to get a 20-second rest. Work hard for the next bit.
I think if you're resting in the middle bit, you're not doing it right. I think a lot of it depends on. So are you targeting if you're targeting a time, the flat bits on the volcano and the little dips are where you can lose most time. You can easily drop 20-25 seconds on those bits alone. So if you're sitting up and recovering, going through the volcano on the flat bit in the middle, you're dropping lots and lots of time, which is going to affect your prime.
I am hanging on for dear life to the rider in front of me at all points in the volcano, less so on the flat bit usually. So top of the volcano, probably 7, 8, 9 minutes, depending on where you are. As a rider, I think sort of good C's might be trying to get towards 8.5 minutes, 8 minutes. Good B's are probably looking 7.5 minutes on this one.
I'd say a very good B will be close to 7 minutes.
Becca, what's your PB?
6:19, and I did it as a B.
Sandbagging, massive sandbagging.
That was the race that got me my almost A. So
yeah, so my PB I think is 650, and I was nowhere close to hitting A power on that race.
So yeah,
I'm very angry about this because I did 4.9 watts per kilo for the whole climb and managed 7 minutes 10.
Well, no, and that's a really good example, isn't it? This is really one that, like, being a motivated bunch at going hard, because like you say, James, those flat bits and those dips, like, even if you pick a number and stick to it, you are going to lose time riding on your own compared to people riding together. So if you can be in a bunch, be in a bunch. Same applies. Oh, sorry, Greg.
That 650 was the first lap of 6 that day. So that was chasing Becca in up in ZRL, or Becca and Orjan. So yeah, no, it's
stupid Becca and Orjan.
They beat me on that climb, but I got a PB and managed to stick with the front group for a while.
I think the draft on that climb could easily be 30 seconds.
At least 15. Yeah.
So it's a bit of a tricky descent. It's not one, and I say that as it's not one that you can just sort of sit, super tuck, recover, not really have to worry about it. There are little climbs. You can get dropped off a bunch fairly easily on this climb. And there does seem to be a differentiator between 80, 90 kilo riders who can ride it one way and lighter riders who can't. I think we'd all agree on that. Craig hasn't pulled a face at me, which is usually my sign of he's starting to pull a face, people. Here we go.
I'm 100% with you. And I mean, I'm a 75 to 80 kilogram rider the entire time I've been on Zwift, and I've multiple times gotten dropped on the descent from the Volcano KOM. It is not, you can't really, it's not a spot for recovery. It's people are still going to drive the pace on the way down, and you have to stay with them.
Also, if you manage to, say, win the climb and you find yourself off the front, that's probably the most dangerous place to be, because if people go past you, you're really, really, really going to struggle to get back on their wheel.
I'm going to put a face and say if you're slower than people up the climb and off the back, then that's equally a dangerous place to be, because they'll just go away from you even quicker. I have more experience of this, though.
I suspect it would be even harder to catch up with them again than if they overtook you going downhill.
Yeah. So nice flat bit. Nice recovery bit. That is actually quite flat. There's nothing much to think about. We hit Italian villas, the gravel climb that everyone hated in ZRL when the steamroller was there, but we go right instead of left, I think, at this point.
No,
anyway,
yes.
Which bit are you talking about?
He's right.
The gravel climb out from that straight bit of road from the volcano. We don't go left to the sprint like we did in ZRL. We go right, and then we head towards my favorite climb. Stupid, hilly, reverse, stupid climb, which has a lovely start, nice steep start. You turn right and then you go over a bridge, and then it's just stupid, and I hate it. And there's like 4 more minutes of stupidness. And then you hit the descent. And that's all I've got to say about that climb. So I'm going to let you folks talk about it for a bit now.
Did we talk about this last week, or was it the week before? Because I'm getting a lot of deja vu here.
It was last week.
Can I just say, I did Craig's Martin maneuver on this one, so much so that I thought I'd gone too far back. So I was about 5 seconds off the back of the pack, and I thought I was going to get dropped, and got second on this. So it works very, very nicely on this climb, as long as you don't actually get dropped.
Yeah. Well, and that's one, I think, there was one race in the seas when it was Magnificent 8, I think. And Cy Seymour and I were battling for the HSRL title. And I just kept backing off, and he kept coming with me. And anyway, I was not able to drop him the entire way, and then he out-sprinted me at the line. But I think we had dropped, I think it was even more than 5 seconds, Becca. And it's a really funny spot where, yeah, you can hit that sprint and then come back down into the draft with a group that didn't already sprint, and then attack the very end of the climb again.
So I think last week we were talking that the start of the KOM, I'd be looking for probably about 125 to 150% FTP. Becca would probably be looking for 175 to 200 on the sharpest part of the climb, and then FTP maybe slightly over for the rest. But yeah, it's not the greatest climb in inverted commas in Zwift.
So I absolutely overdid it in hammering the prime in this last weekend, and I completely blew up after the reverse sprint, and just was not able to keep with the group through the cobbles. It was I set a new personal best for 1 minute power, and I think it was a a 12-second PB on reverse KOM, and yeah, no, that was a little too much.
I think the pertinent question to be asked right now is Steve still awake?
Have you finished talking about stupid hilly reverse com yet?
I think so.
Okay, right. I will rejoin the pod. So down a nice recovery bit, and then we head back into the desert, and it's Fuego Flats sprint again.
But it doesn't count for points.
Yeah. So we are just sprinting for position. Don't have to worry about primes. Just beat the people in your group. No, there's no sophistication to this, is there? It's just you need to be ahead of people on the line. So I will be attacking at 1 kilometer.
Of course you will.
I tried that in a crit yesterday, and it worked really, really well.
If people don't know you're going to do it, it does work surprisingly. I've used it in bullseyes before now. It's like you just go really hard at a K and you rely on people just looking at each other and being like, well, that's a silly move, isn't it? And then you just sort of ride to the end, and like people will look at each other, and then they're about 2 seconds behind you on the sprint. Now everyone knows I do it. Stupid Gavin and Maria Line chased me in Paris, but there we go.
I remember being in a group with you in Innsbruck when you went the kilometer, and I saw you go, and I just thought, well, I'm not bothered about this. We're going to catch him. And we all sort of like flew past you about 250 meters to go.
But none of you had any panache, and that's what matters at this time. So bike choice, what we're going with?
Patron.
Venge and disc.
Oh, interesting.
Honestly, I'm going to message Dan Pedrosa and ask him what I should be riding, because he seems to know more than us.
It's Venge and disc.
Maybe you should do that before the show, Becca.
So even up the KOM, so up the Volcano KOM solo, the Venge and disc is faster than the Tron. I know it's sacrilege to say, but that climb is shallow enough, and aero matters enough that it is. Actually, it might not be faster. It might be exactly the same, but there's enough sprints in the long sprint. The aero is going to matter even more, and I would say this is one where you're carrying the disc wheels up the hill.
Yeah, and this is if you are more of a climber, then I think it's definitely a course to play to your weakness. So actually that bike that's going to make you faster on the flat sections and more likely to stick in that group through those long sprints is a good shout here. Where's the crossover point though? So if you've got the Tron, is it faster than like one of the good flat bikes? I mean, the Venge and Disc is the best flat bike in the game, isn't it? So at what point, like the Tron is still a pretty good flat bike.
If you don't have the Venge and one of the two disc wheel sets, then the Tron.
And then if you don't have the Tron yet, probably looking at like the Canyon Air Road, kind of good all-round bike, climbs well, does well on the flat. Probably go with your flat wheels. Best arrow straight out. Yeah. So there we go. Nice and easy solved. We're not doing a bike change because that's just daft, but I totally want someone to do a bike change. Right, James, what else is coming up this week in the Herd Racing League?
Okay, so on Monday, we have Stampede, our individual time trial event, and it's a single lap of the Keith Hill after party in London. On a Wednesday for Bullseye, and we'll hear Nate talking about Bullseye a bit later on. So Bullseye is our points race where you score points depending on your position in your category at the end of each lap, with double points on offer on the final lap. There are 6 laps of the Champs-Élysées, and if you did this on Tuesday, you will know it is horrid. We have the herd of mountain goats on Sunday, and this week that is Innsbruck UCI. Before we come back round again to, I've done this in a completely wrong order. Before we come back round again to HSRL, and it'll be a week today, Friday, it'll be 3 laps of Greater London Flat. So 3 lots of the Forward London Sprint, which is nice and short at 200 meters.
I'm so tired. I'm not sure whether it's that I'm tired or whether it's just that you've confused me so much about how the week runs and what days of the week are which there. But those sound like some cool events.
It's basically how I've got it listed on my spreadsheet, because I added Herd of Mountain Goats after everything else. So it's just in the wrong order.
I do like that your week appears to run Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 12, a picture of a teddy bear, Monday, and then just some random doodles.
Yeah, pretty much.
Excellent. How much Malbec do you drink before you make these spreadsheets, James?
Probably not enough.
Is that the key? Actually, glass of Malbec. Look at this spreadsheet, and it all makes total sense. Cool. There's some cool events. Innsbruck UCIs. Innsbruck's an underused race course. I think all of the routes there are fun. There's some cool custom routes you can do on it. So I'm looking forward to that one. Hopefully I get to ride on Sunday. We shall see. Becca, Craig, anything you're particularly going to ride out of that this week?
So I actually have a question for James. The series points for Herd of Mountain Goats, is that every week or is it a best of?
It's every week. So it is your best 10 results in a 10-week series.
Thank you.
Well done on answering that in an only slightly less confusing way than you explained the days of the week, James. Right. I can't believe I'm going to thank some people later for funding this complete nonsense, and also apologize to them at the same time that we have just upped the nonsense as a result of that. Right. Speaking of nonsense, what's annoyed us this week in the world of Zwift? Who wants to go first?
I do.
Craig, Craig, you can't see this because this is a podcast. Craig has turned to his whiteboard where there is a bullet pointed list.
There is. So first, Zwift has made a change to the water bottle animation. You now only will only drink your water bottle on the frames for which there is a water bottle on the frame. This is, I totally understand that this is now a congruent animation thing, but at the same time, the Paris bugs where people show up in the pen backwards are still there nearly a year later, and they fixed the water bottle.
Craig, you have 3 things on your list, and that only appears to be 2.
The third thing is diazepam is awesome.
That's just written. I almost want to end this feature now because I think we've peaked with a man being annoyed about a game where they've fixed the animation for water bottle drinking. And I think actually this is the kind of thing that I really wish I was still on the like WTRL and Zwift forums on Facebook, because people will be losing their shit over this completely in a completely unproportionate way. Becca?
I really don't have anything to complain about this week. I'm sorry. I had to think. I don't have anything.
I'll come to you last, James. I have 2 things to complain about. One is that Zwift has completely removed my ability to do reasonably menial bike maintenance tasks, as I discovered by hosing myself with tubeless sealant earlier. And Craig is laughing as I shared the video with some of the people on this chat. And also, what's annoying about Zwift? So people offering to pay other riders to ride for their race teams. Like, I get that if you're Alpecin Phoenix, for kind of anything that's not that, they're just like something fundamentally. It's just people chasing pixels on a screen. It's just a bit weird. James, over to you.
6 laps of Champs-Élysées in Zwift Racing League at the very bottom of your category where you are not the right type of rider for that route. I nearly rage quit within 30 seconds and probably would have done if it wasn't for the fact that I had to finish in order to get my team some points.
What kind of rider do you think it suits, seeing as I am lighter than you quite considerably and I came second?
Craig is waving. Craig has views.
No, it's me. Actually, it's not even me. It's Ben. It's Nate. It's the people with the most power.
And how did I come second?
Because you have the most sprinting power.
Yeah, awesomeness. Panache. That's the answer to that question.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that.
Right. Enough of this nonsense, you fools. big thank you in no particular order to Jason Wright, Mark Telford, Victoria Howarth, William Moore, Hugh Shepherd, Paul Dennison, Gavin Irons, Keith Orangi, Darren Scott, Robert Pace, Anna Wood, some weirdo called Craig Martin, and Mark Shepherd, who very kindly donated us some money, which basically covers the cost of hosting the podcast, so we can continue to talk drivel on a Friday night when we're tired and drunk, and you can continue to listen to said drivel. So thanks very much to all of you folks. Thanks to everyone who's stuck with us so far tonight. Apologies, this has been one of the most nonsense-filled things I've done since shouting giraffe at a computer a few months ago. And thanks to Becca, Craig, and James for joining me in this tired nonsense tonight as well. Thanks, folks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
So tonight we're joined by Nate Holme. Nate, I know you're racing in about half an hour's time. So normally we'd start off by asking you what you're drinking tonight. I think the pertinent question is probably, what are you going to be drinking in about an hour and a half's time?
There's some nice cold beers in my fridge that I think will definitely be my recovery drink for tonight.
And are you a shareholder in this company of beers that you're drinking in, or is it a different company?
I'm a member, so I mean, I wouldn't call a shareholder, but I'm a member. So it's always good to drink the product that you support.
Cool. So tell us about yourself, Nate. When did you start Zwifting? What do you like about the herd?
How long have you lived in Canada for?
So obviously, I mean, like most people, I got involved in Zwift during like the lockdown last year. It was just really a way to get back into cycling again. Come from a triathlon background, but kind of cycling's became my favorite part of that. So, and then really kind of used it for training purposes first, and then came across the Bullseye one Wednesday, just searching. Didn't know at all what it was all about. Rode, I think it was the Dolphin, and all I knew there was primes. So I saw prime on the screen on the uphill section of the Dolphin and was hammering that every section. And then people were lapping me on the start banner. So I think halfway through, I realized I was doing it the wrong way around. So all that hard work, and I think I actually got UPG'd as well. So it was a fun ride overall. But no, I mean, you know what? I love it. I love being part in the seas. And just the Herds a fantastic group to be with.
I have to say, I'm quite impressed that you even knew there were primes in the Bullseye, because most people that join it have no idea.
Oh, I did, but I didn't know which one. Because I think it might be my second one. I think the first one I did was a storyline or something like that, which was an easy banner. And then I saw the prime on the screen for the Dolphin lap. So I killed myself every single time going up the hill and wondered why no one followed me. Mm-hmm. So, but that was about a year ago. And then obviously now HSRL, Stampede when I can, but that's now a killer when ZRL's the next day. I'm just too old to be able to do back to back. And then probably Bullseye, I'll enjoy doing again over the summer when ZRL's kind of taking a break. So I can go back to my Stampede, Bullseye, Monday, Wednesday schedule will be definitely good.
Yeah, we've talked about it in the past. It's a cool kind of mix up, isn't it? It's actually quite a nice, like, accidental training program. So you have something that's around your FTP for a bit, and then Bullseye's a real kind of cool interval session, really, isn't it? So,
oh, it's fantastic. And it's again, my sprints are suffering for sure because I'm not doing Bullseye, and my FTP suffering because I'm not doing Stampede, but I just love ZRL. Like, a lot of people just hooked on that. And, this year kind of mentality is doing great in America East. So looks as though we're playoff bound. We'll see, but.
So what, you've obviously got a strong American accent on the go, Nate. What took you out to the States?
So I did a sports degree at Aberdeen, and then was looking for a job, just came out here part-time to coach with Major League Soccer for a little bit, just coaching in Connecticut. And then 14 years later, I'm still out here. So it's definitely been a journey, but it's crazy that 14 years have flown by. But yeah, I am in Connecticut near New York, not Canada, as James thought. So
I have no idea what actually put into my head that you're in Canada. So
I think it was the curling, of which
yeah,
Yeah.
must have been.
not that Canada did all that well in curling this year, but that's okay.
That's a different and also very niche podcast, I think. Probably less niche than this one, if we're perfectly honest about it. So we got a rider preparing for a race tonight in you, Nate. Talk us through your prep. Kind of what's your pre-race routine?
I got to be honest, I've enjoyed sitting on the couch right now, just not pedaling. Again, it's a fun course. It's not as crazy as Bigfoot Hills. I mean, I know it's kind of similar tarmac to Bigfoot Hills, but no, I don't mind it. I mean, I think, Zwift's one of those platforms that the more you get used to it, the more you realize some of these routes are not as bad. The Volcano KOM isn't as bad as what I first feared it was. Even the reverse KOM, again, they're actually both very similar climbs. It's just knowing when to hit the power, when to be in the draft, to get you over them. So it's not like it's the Alp where it kills you for an hour and a half, and there's no respite. At least these two kind of climbs tonight are a bit draftable. You've got some flat bits. Although I still hate that last kicker on the volcano climb. I always just watch people ride away from me there.
I can just see Becca in the chat smiling away as she, like me, likes the bits that kick and don't have flat bits and drafting. You were describing all the bits we like about these climbs as things that you dislike, which is probably why we like them. So you've been Zwifting for a while, quite like strong, recent improvement. I mean, I talk about this like I'm a cool Zwifter. I'm really not, but you've improved a lot on Zwift. What would you say was the basis of that improvement, and what would be the tips you'd pass on to people then?
I mean, part of it was just going from couch to being back on the bike again. I mean, I started about 105 kilos, completely out of shape. I could do about 20K on the bike, and that was me. I mean, the first couple of races I was doing, I was absolutely destroyed. And then just got into the swing of things. Again, I mean, it's funny. I've still not done a full workout yet on Zwift, so I'm not one of those ones that fully do. And the one work I did do it was my FTP was miscalculated, so it hurt a lot more than it should have. But no, I just enjoy it for the social side. You can take it so serious, and you can swear at the TV and curse as much as you want when you get dropped on a climb that you think you should have had a chance on, and then all of a sudden you kind of get off the bike afterward and just realize, what, it's a game. It's it's not. I'm not professional. It's take it for the light it is, and enjoy the social aspects. And then you've got the chat and Messenger, and you've got the chat on Facebook page that afterwards as well as part of the experience. So I think that's what Herod does really well.
So you've talked about ZRL and HSRL. What, other than when you're not racing, what would you do on Zwift?
Mainly group rides, to be honest. I'm not as motivated to go out there on a route and just badge hunt. I find it very hard to stay focused if I'm just trying to jump from pack to pack. I think I'm just so used to having that pack on the road that I enjoy being in the draft. And so group rides for sure, special event rides. But yeah, a lot of my time on Zwift is racing. I think I just passed my 200th race stroke group ride the other day in just over a year. So my Zwift power page is pretty full.
Good work. You mentioned group rides. Are there any in particular that you do on sort of a regular basis?
Not really. I mean, again, I just whatever works for my schedule. I just I jump on. Again, it's if I'm looking for a ride first thing in the morning, it's really I just look in the companion and just see what's around. Again, it's and I think that's the good thing about Zwift. You know, there's a good social aspect. You know, no matter where you go, but it's just making sure you find the right group ride and the pace. I mean, pace is everything on the group ride for sure. And sometimes people advertise a certain one, and then you get on it, and it's just either too slow or too fast, and it can kind of kill the mood. But I don't know. It's just I enjoy being on the routes with a big pack rather than just solo riding and kind of getting annoyed when you're following someone and all of a sudden they're finished for the day, and then you're trying to find that next person to ride with.
I remember you doing Festive 500 and finishing 500 kilometers about 30 seconds after someone else.
Yep. That was my mistake again of not doing a group ride. I mean, I think it was at the time that the new expansion came out of those 4 new routes, or 5, whatever they were, and I stupidly chose Serpentine 8 as my Christmas Day morning workout, and halfway through realized I probably should have quit because how slow it was. So I think for me, the next time if I ever have to do something, it's group rides or even Coco Cadence or some of that. Just find a pace partner where you know is going to motivate you rather than just I don't know. Sometimes without knowing it, you're only doing about 25, 30K, and if you're on a crunch to get kilometers, then that's not good enough. And I found out the hard way with you with that message as I was about 2K to go.
For someone who has confessed that a year ago they were struggling to do 20 kilometers, doing 500K in the week is a pretty phenomenal achievement, I'd say. Well done.
That was probably my biggest achievement I've done so far in cycling. I mean, even in terms of cycling there, I mean, I just passed 10,000K in about a year, which is probably way more than what I've ever cycled in my life. So I think it's just, it's sticking to a schedule. It's being diligent with that, but also listen to your body, because I have been there where I may be being hooked on racing, and I even see it on the Facebook page that people get hooked on racing, and all of a sudden your body gets wrecked and you run yourself into the ground.
Yeah, and that was a big tip we had from Lord Orange as well, was like the proper recovery, like zone 1, sat there being really disciplined about it. A couple of quick fire questions, because I know you've got to go and do warm up ahead of the race tonight. Best and worst moment on Zwift?
Best moment was probably over the winter when I smoked Ben on the last hill on the S's. I mean, he still mentions that, and I still wind him up about it. But my little breakaway with 2.5K to go, to not to win the race, because HBR, definitely not HBR beginner race, but it was fun. But I won the little race that was with the pack after surviving. I don't know, worst moment. First time up Ventop.
Has there been a second time up Ventop?
Yeah, there has been a second time. There hasn't been a third time yet, but that'll come soon enough. But it's that's probably the toughest climb on the game, just because of the sheer distance of it.
Favorite course on Zwift?
I'd probably say it wrong because I'm Scottish, but Sand and Sequoia. Is it Sequoia?
I'd say Sequoia.
I say Seacrest, I don't know, whatever it is, but I don't know. I think it's just the Titans Grove is an underestimated part of Zwift. I think it's a great little part both ways. Again, the normal route or even the reverse route when you're doing something like Muir in the Mountain. It's kind of strange that it's not, the reverse route really isn't that incorporated into the game. There's only a few ones that go through it compared to the other way around. And even San and Sequoia, again, I think that's the only one that actually goes through the Titan Grove that way. So it's weird because it's such a good expansion to Zwift.
Yeah, we've said that, especially Titans Reverse. There's some cool climbs on that, and it feels underused, doesn't it? And I think because, like you say, there aren't enough routes that do it. Favorite bike?
Now that I got it, probably Tron.
Which colour Tron?
Green Tron.
Oh, you'd have been allowed blue Tron as you're Scottish, but the correct answer is pink Tron.
I know it's pink, but I like to be matchy. So, you know, again, in game and having the green just works for me.
Cool.
So Nate, you mentioned ZRL, and definitely, I just want to say, while we got John here, is thanks. You've been a big help on the seas for the Americas East, on helping organize and divvy things up and bouncing ideas off, and I really appreciate the help you've given there. So thanks, sir.
No, it's a pleasure, and it's again, big credit to everyone in the herd. I mean, again, you've done a great job with organizing that in terms of the overall base, and helped it grow in terms of getting the teams there. So the least I could do, because it's such a big network of riders. So anything to help out it's all good.
Final question then: what would you say to people who are dipping their toe into the world of Zwift or Zwift racing? What would you say to them?
Just try, give it a go. Again, you can always quit if you're struggling. Again, it's one of those ones you can go back to group rides. I mean, I've been there a few times when you've done a race and then you're 10K in, and all of a sudden your legs are just telling you, no, you should be on a recovery day today. But just try it. I mean, obviously know what you're getting to. Don't do a crit race as your first race on Zwift, because again, that was a mistake. But enjoy them. There's so many different ones out there. Again, there's so many levels. Don't be afraid of having to be in the lead group, because there's natural groups that happen, and I've been there, worked my way up the groups, and again, you guys can kind of say credit to when you're in the Bs. Even though you're not in that lead group at times with the Bs or whatever, you're still a race within a race, and there's still that fun factor. And again, when you get to a prime or whatever, like an HSRL, then that's where your mini battle starts.
You can always quit will probably be the title for tonight's show, I think. Brilliant, Nate. You've been fantastic. It's great chatting to you as always, and it's always fun when we race. So hopefully we're racing against each other soon, or with each other in the quackers.
Yeah, I mean, my plan, if I stop drinking my beer, is I will get down to the Bs, or up to the Bs. But I don't know, beer just tastes so good at times. It's hard to cut out my diet.
Yeah, I'm currently trying to weight date my way back to sea, so hopefully I'll be joining you again soon as well. Cool. Anyway, thanks, dude. Have a great race tonight.
Yeah, I gotta jump. But I mean, take care, guys.
Good luck.
Nate.
See you. Bye.